Mr.
Bond.
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 Bond. James Bond.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Ultimate Bondcast. You're here today with Chris, as always, and Mike. How are we, Mike?
I'm all right, Chris. Nice to be back, and it doesn't feel like it's been too long since we've done a last podcast. It was with our friends at Really 007, but it's back with the OGs today, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Well, I mean, you know, really 007. It was really nice having them on.
Amazing.
We can't be blessed every week. But this week,
you stuck with us now.
yeah, just stuck with us. And today we're focusing on the best Bond pre-title sequences. So we're going to be looking at some of our favourites and talking about why Bond pre-title sequences are so awesome. But before we do, I think what we're going to do, Mike, is dip into a little bit of Bond news. Are we not?
There is, mate. There's a lot happening. Let's have a look at it. Now, Chris, I need to ask you, well, I'm going to tell something that you probably aren't aware. Did you know that they are casting for a new James Bond?
Get out of town.
Who knew? But it's not what you think it is. Right.
Okay.
So, yes, of course, Amazon are looking for their Bond. But that being said, that's not what I'm referring to. So, Big Finish, the audio story guys, are looking for a casting surrounding a young child Bond. Okay, now, if you don't know what I mean, but I don't know if you've ever read the books or you're familiar with the books. I have. I've read at least one of them. I'm referring to the book trilogy that started with a book called Silverfin, which was Bond as a child at Eton School back in the day. Which is quite explained. So they are looking for a casting call to bring Silverfin to an audio audience, which I think is fantastic. I've just got the article here for you so we can read it. So it says, Big Finish Audio and Ian Fleming's publications are looking for the next Bond, young Bond. Casting is underway for the lead roles of James Bond and the wilder Lawless for the first adventure Silverfin. Ever so briefly, a young spy in the making is a new student at Eton College in 1933. James is mature for his age, but still just a boy with a boy's view of the world. Initially awed by his intimidating new school, James quickly makes friends, stands up to bullies, and gathers the resolve he needs to face a rogues gallery of sinister villains. It's quite a good idea. It's not like Bond Origins, not like how he became 007, but I quite like the idea. Have you ever read Silverfin, Chris?
No, I've not. I've got to say, it's not been on my radar. But there is a few things about that article that strike me. Like, that's really interesting. Are we going for like a young adult audience then? Is this a YA novel, or was this very much an adult novel when you read it, or? This was an adult novel. It wasn't sort of aimed at a younger audience for that reason. It wasn't sort of child dumbed down. It was in the much spirit of all the other sort of Ian Fleming style. I think it might have had some influence around Raymond Biggs and stuff like that. So it's quite it's a good read, worth a chance to give it a go. I'll lend you a copy if you would like, Chris. Would that help? Yeah, definitely, mate. Definitely. I think the other thing that really caught my attention when you were reading that out is that it's set in 1933 as well. So it's very much going to be that's what I was thinking, a true timeline, not like if Bond existed as an adult today, how would he have grown up in, say, the 70s or the 80s? But they're very much making this like a set in the original period of when Ian Fleming wrote the novels.
It is. It's Fleming Bond in every way. It's a Fleming version of Bond, and it carries on that spirit. So you can almost imagine the book of Casino Royale takes place a few years after Silverfin or this trilogy ends, which is quite good. So,
that's really interesting because there's a lot at the moment that seems to be tapping into like the like core Ian Fleming timeline. That Felix Leiter book that I just read, that was the Hook in the Eye. That was based on the original Ian Fleming timeline as well. I like it. I like that we get a mixture.
Could that be a sign of things to come with Amazon? Who knows? We will find out.
Wow, wouldn't that be interesting? I mean, whether you love it or hate it, what a bold, ballsy direction that'd be to take the franchise.
Do you know what is ballsy, Chris? This is the footage. This is an absolute first, and I'm not playing around. Right, our next article. we have got a glimpse of the Bond 26 set being built for real. Okay, I'm going to put it on screen. Have a quick look. It's been zoomed in, and I'll explain why it's zoomed in. So here we go.
Okay, cool. All right, okay. That's interesting.
No idea what this is, where it is, how it relates. Okay, but the reason why this footage has been taken relates back to the article I'm about to read out to you. So, secrecy surrounding the next 007 has reached unprecedented levels, with rumours of a younger, controversial Bond swirling. British News is now reportedly pouring $5 million into anti-drone systems, which obviously this picture has been taken via. And it's also invested in hidden tunnels to protect the identity until 2028. The late shoots will approach in late 2026. So, from that's telling us that Bond will start shooting this year. We won't know hardly anything about it until it gets closer in 2028. How mental's that?
That is mental. I just want to say hello to BK on the air. Thanks for joining us today. That's awesome.
Thanks for joining us. But yeah, that's such an interesting take, isn't it? I mean, I'll just put that photo back up. What is that?
I mean, that to me looks like the courtyard to a cathedral or a university. You know, like I mean, it just strikes me as it looks really old medieval buildings. So it looks to me like it'd be a university. The article though, like. I don't know, mate. I don't know where that article's from. That feels like not wanting to swear, but
yeah,
I don't know. That feels.
I get it.
a bit AI. Like, have you got the article again?
Yeah. Here we go. So yeah, I mean, it's
what's the link? The link is HTTPS. Nothing.
This is from extremely reliable sources.
Oh, is it? Okay. So there is no way on. I mean, is this they want to protect the identity of? Can we have the article back up?
Yeah, it's the identity of Bond the actor, which
that's not true. There is no way on earth they're going to protect the identity of the Bond actor until 2028.
That's the publicising of the film, isn't it? Every time they have an availment of the new Bond, he comes on stage and he has a word with the press and all that. So
the other thing was calling it a controversial Bond actor.
What's it say?
What's controversial about rumours of a younger, controversial Bond? I've heard nothing ever, nothing at all saying that this Bond choice is controversial.
No,
weird.
And
don't know about that. I feel like that's a bit of a clickbait, but we'll see.
Could be. Look, at the end of the day, there's going to be
the picture's great.
There's going to be a lot of this coming out though in the next
probably.
Yeah.
You got to weed through what's real and what isn't, I guess. But the picture looks great. I mean, that really does. That clearly does look like a movie set that's been built because it looks like it's not got the roof and all the structures look like they're quite paper thin. But I mean, it does to me look like a university of some sort or a
is that
a religious place?
Could be the Bond villain lair of an outline of something. I don't know. Who knows? We have also,
I don't know.
We've got a particularly big announcement for you guys to notice as well. So you guys that have been sort of long-standing Bond fans, I'm sure, are aware of the Q Music event. Just to let you know, we have booked. We're going to be attending the London Palladium on Sunday, the 1st of November, for the David Arnold event.
Wait for that. Can't wait. Love Casino Royale. I think it's an amazing score. So it's going to be awesome to hear it live, isn't it?
It really is. Now, the tickets are available, so you can go to the website and book them out. It's worth pointing out they're not just happening in London. Of course, the bigger event is in London. But, if you can't make it, go to another one. And if you do make it, hopefully, we'd like to see you and shake hands and have a martini with you.
That'd be awesome, wouldn't it? Yeah, it'd be great.
But a little bit of a Bond treat for us going up into the Christmas season, Chris, isn't it?
It is, and there'll be more info dropping on that. I assume nearer the time, if there is an opportunity for a meet-up, I'm sure we'll look for that.
We'll facilitate a meet-up. We'll facilitate a meet-up through somebody else's event, shall we?
Oh yeah, we're not. Yeah, we're not big enough to facilitate our own event. We're not originals. Someone else's. We'll take a corner somewhere.
I have got one more thing to show you before we crack on with the main event for you, Chris.
Yeah.
Now, this is quite relevant to you because you like your figurines from Geek Figure Fan on your other channel. Not necessarily a figurine as such, but guess what has just been released as a new toy?
Is it a Citroen? Looking at the screen, is it? Oh God, is it maybe a Citroen?
This is sort of anticlimax now. You've mentioned it that way, but look at it. It's a Citroen, and it's the
Citroen.
CV2 from For Your Eyes Only.
Your Eyes Only, fantastic. Yeah, I really like it. Love it in the yellow.
The only Citroen that's actually been cool. Even Lorenzo, or good afternoon, Lorenzo, shall we say? We seem to be getting quite a few on the stateside this time, Chris. I think, really, isn't it? It's crazy.
I think we've just scared everyone from the UK off.
I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, that looks absolutely phenomenal, and can't wait to see more news unveiling as it comes out this year. But that, my friends, is Bond news. Oh, what happened there? That was the wrong thing.
What? Well, there we go. I'm not sure we needed it a second time, but
joys of live streaming, mate. Joys of live streaming.
Yeah. So, like today, what we wanted to talk about, the main event today, is talking about like pre-title sequences. Bond movies are synonymous with like a few things, aren't they? And the way that they're structured, they're kind of we've used the term cookie cutter before, haven't we? In some respects, maybe not in the nicest way, but like. There is a formula to a Bond movie, right?
Sets a tone.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? And like a really integral part of that formula is a 5 or 6 minute pre-title sequence that kind of sets you up for the movie, introduces you maybe to the first parts of the plot, or at least to a situation that Bond is in that he needs to get out of, that propels him into the plot of the movie. And
sometimes it can be completely irrelevant to the rest of the movie.
Yeah,
but I think one thing it can always do is it sets the tone for what you're looking for. So, and you can find it quite inherent in the type of Bond actors we recognise, like Roger Moore's more, not that he's a bad Bond, but more sort of comical aspects. And then you've got Daniel Craig with the more brutality, and Connery with the more classic quips. It does set that tone, doesn't it? I think sometimes.
I think so, and I think that you find that they are wildly different in quality as well, even from like, you know, one Bond movie to the next. I think there are definitely some that stand out.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we wanted to talk about some of them today, because there are a few, I think, that stand head and shoulders above the rest for pre-title sequences.
There is gold tier pre-title sequences. Now, it's important to point out that we need to bear in mind that we're not judging this by the actual film now. This is just strictly the pre-title sequence. Whatever comes after the music is irrelevant. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad. So it's literally the first few minutes. That's all we're looking at from there.
And I think that there probably are. I'm thinking about it now, but like there probably are some poorer Bond movies with brilliant I can think of one actually that we'll talk about, I'm sure. But like, it really doesn't matter about the quality of the movie.
Those of you on the chat, by the way, on Facebook and YouTube, first of all, good evening to you all. Yeah, let us know what your favourite pre-title sequences are as we go along. This is totally interactive.
Yeah, absolutely. Please let us know. We'll talk about some of the ones that you suggest as well. But I mean, there are loads, and we're not looking to do some official ranking today. We just sort of want to wander through some of our favourites, right?
Absolutely. This is our sort of top tier ones, why we love them, what they're all about, and it's just a chance to have a bit of a geek, really, isn't it? That's all it is.
So I'm going to offer you the opportunity to throw your first pre-title sequence into the ring for us to talk about, Mike. Tell us, where are we going first?
We sort of had a little bit of a messenger, a Facebook messenger group about this, didn't we, to each other, going, I just don't know which ones to choose and all that. And you've got 25 movies, or 26 movies, technically, if you count Never Say Never Again. There's a lot to choose from. And I think sort of the gold tier for me takes me back to where I started with Bond. That's where it comes back to. So for me, this goes back to 1995, and it's simply GoldenEye. I think this is probably one of the best introductions to a new 007. And it wasn't just a new Bond actor, it was a new generation of Bond after a massive long hiatus. So a little bit like what we're experiencing now with the Amazon takeover. So it was just a fresh dip. And I think what was really good about this, and they seem to inherit it with what they did with Timothy Dalton as well, where they were reluctant to show Bond's face too early in the pre-title sequence. Do you know what I mean? That's sort of, I don't know, one of the things that I absolutely love about it. And the dam jump, for example, that's just, oh come on, how can we not like that?
The dam jump is amazing. It really is such a great stunt. Maybe one of the best stunts that we've seen in a Bond movie.
Oh god, yeah, absolutely. And a real stunt ultimately as well. It wasn't sort of like totally green screened or anything. It was sort of Bond, I suppose, announcing himself to a new generation, wasn't it? But it's still the same man, but more so in that way.
You make a really good point about like the introduction to Bond, because I do think some of my favorite pre-title sequences are from films where they have had to introduce a new Bond. So, Lorenzo's actually mentioning one of them there, The Living Daylights. I'm sure we will touch upon, and Casino Royale. I'm sure we'll touch upon as well. Like they all have to grab you at the beginning and show you why this new Bond is different to the last one, I suppose, and sets it apart. And they all do that, don't they? They all sort of have their own little things that make that pre-title sequence unique to that Bond.
I think on some level, they have a lot of pressure on the first introduction of a Bond, because they have to get it right. And this does it bang on. It's extremely 90s, and I mean that in a really good way. It's very, very sort of like some of the textures, the graininess of the film, the way the gadgets look. It's retro 90s, and I absolutely love it for that reason. But I also love the idea of Bond infiltrating a base. I don't feel we see that enough in some of the other pre-title sequences, but the infiltration was wonderful. And Alec
really
Trevelyan as well. It's not just Bond alone. This mission was deemed enough that they had to send 2 00s.
I was just going to say the same. Yes, and it's a pre-title sequence. I mean, I love the bit that's on screen now with the plane and him having to jump on the motorcycle to catch the plane. There's so many of his, the first 2 of his pre-title sequences both end up with amazing plane stunts, don't they?
They do.
I love this stunt, and this pre-title sequence lives in my head because of the video game as well, because you got to play the dam and the Seven Eye facility or whatever it was in the
let me just make something very clear to you. This entire film can live rent-free in my head for the rest of its life. I do not care. But the whole, like we see there, the blowing up of the base and the plane swooping away and everything. It's like, yes, this is classic Bond, but they've gone to the next level. Do you know what I mean? And Martin Campbell, as I'm sure we'll touch on another movie of his later on, is an extremely fantastic introduction director to Bond, I think.
Yeah, he is, and it would have been great to maybe have seen him come back to introduce us to one more Bond, but we can't really argue with who we got as a new director. It would have been interesting.
We'll try, but it probably won't get us anywhere, will it? So yeah, GoldenEye is definitely one of my top tier Bond film pre-titles. I've got such fond memories out of that film, and to me, it always sets the little sort of like butterflies in my stomach when I see him jump off the dam and run after the plane. Even though I know what's going to happen, that's why I've got to bring it up for my first one. Chris, what have you got for your sort of like first selection, if you like?
So I mean, I think I know we'll talk about Pierce Brosnan's Bond a lot more because his pre-title sequences are all pretty epic. But I'm going to leave him alone for a second, and I'm going to talk about one I think one of my least favorite Bond movies, with arguably like one of my favorite pre-title sequences, and that is Spectre.
Spectre. So okay, go on. Talk through Spectre.
I think this pre-title sequence is epic. It's unbelievable. It's shot so beautifully. This sort of the Day of the Dead parade that's happening, and that almost like a one shot, isn't it? It's shot as a one shot, even though there are cuts, but it's phenomenal watching. You don't 100% know it's Bond the first time you're watching it, but you maybe assume that it is. But like you watch him walk from the street into the building, up the elevator, into the hotel room, and then, as we're seeing now, across the roof, so that he can sort of assassinate who he needs to. And it's just a fantastic little one shot. It's just beautiful. It's a fantastic scene.
Grade A assassination as well, isn't it? Like we've seen from there. You know, I love the laser on the red dot. That
the red dot on it is just great.
It just feels absolutely beautiful for that reason. And I agree, the one shot, the way it sort of opens up, and it feels like sort of, because this was 2015, wasn't it, Spectre?
Yeah.
It feels like a lot of movies at that time sort of started to look at these sort of tracking shots and all that. You know, we had things like Avengers and 1917, and they sort of had that inspiration. Now, I'm not saying it's from Bond, but it was very in tone with the movies of its day.
It was. There was a lot of interest in that sort of cinematic one-shot tracking shot. There was, like, I guess, made famous by like Scorsese with things like Goodfellas. You know, and I'm sure there are many films before that, but like, it does feel that there was kind of a thing around this time, the mid 2010s, where people were trying to do this quite a bit, and Spectre does it really well. It's one of the better examples of it.
Lorenzo is with you, by the way. He loves Spectre, and so rightly so.
I'm glad you like that.
You know. But I think this this bit we're seeing now where the helicopter's swooping and stuff like that, has an element of GoldenEye still, doesn't it? When he's trying to pull the helicopter up.
It really does. It really does. He has a lot of trouble with like air flight at the beginning of these movies. It's just such a classic scene, and it just, again, it's, you know, the thing was, Skyfall was such a sort of triumph for Sam Mendes, and we knew he was coming back for a second. And everyone, you know, when you were sitting in that cinema, you were anticipating an excellent movie, and whether or not you feel the movie achieved that, like as soon as the pre-title sequence starts, you're hooked, aren't you?
You are, absolutely. I mean, so just to sort of break it down from there, I think it was wonderful because there was a total mystery. You weren't sure why Bond was there, what he was up to, where has he been since Skyfall. You know, it left on quite a cliffhanger. So to see him tracking a target, true assassination style, and then we learn later on that it was unsanctioned. It wasn't, you know, an official mission or nothing. I think that's absolutely wonderful and very in tone with Daniel Craig's Bond, the sort of rebel, if you like, you know.
Yeah, he doesn't follow the rules, does he? Does he, Bond? So,
but I think the one thing I do like about Spectre's opening, though, I don't think we can show it in the montage, but it's after the building explodes when he shoots the guys and the building explodes, and he just lands on the sofa. I thought that was like a little Roger Moore nod in a strange way, because Daniel Craig was always known for being a bit more hardcore, a bit more less humorous in that way. And just another thing, it's like his Bond has evolved slightly. He's got a little bit of humour now. Do you know what I mean?
Agreed. I think the first 3/4 of this movie, in the first half of No Time to Die, you see a more sophisticated Daniel Craig Bond than you did in the previous movies.
Very,
you know, he's very comfortable in that. I agree.
I think like when he comes down the parachute from the DBS, the DB10 car, sorry, and he unclips the parachute and like, good evening. I thought that's very much Connery, you know, that sort of feel to it. So I think they tried to inject that Daniel Craig's Bond has come a long way since Casino Royale as an origin to where he is in Spectre. So these little nods are wonderful, and I love the fight as well. Brilliant fight with is it Sciarro, the guy?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Yeah, with the light suit.
Yes, the Spectre agent ultimately.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
I can't argue. Spectre's a wonderful film, and you're totally worthy of having it on our little sort of recognition pipeline, Chris.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what else have you got?
Right. Okay. Now, again, we have to think quite hard with this one without being too predictable. Okay, but one thing I wanted to go back to, I'm sorry to say it, was Brosnan. Okay, because he has some of the best pre-titles. What about Tomorrow Never Dies?
Oof. We're going there early. I was going to save that one. This is my absolute favourite.
Geek out. This is what this is. That's what this entire section.
This is my favourite pre-title sequence of all time, and
go for it.
One that I mean, I'm happy for you to speak, but like, I turned this movie on just to watch this 5 or 6 minute period. and then we'll turn it back off again. You know, if I don't have a lot of time, I mean, I'm not like I hate the movie. I love the movie, but I will just watch this Arms Bazaar. It's just with Gupta, and it's just awesome. It's so good. The lines that Judi Dench delivers to like the Ministry of Defense when he's like, you know, like, what does he think he's doing?
Yeah,
his job. And you're like, yes. God, this is such a like fist pump pre-title sequence. It's so good. It's so tense. The ticking clock element to this is just perfect.
Judi Dench's line there with his job was almost like, bitch, please? Really?
Yeah, exactly that.
You know,
exactly that. Nasty
it.
habit, he says, doesn't he? Or filthy habit. Love that.
And it is absolutely a wonderful spectacle, and it falls back a little bit to what we just said about GoldenEye a moment ago when he's infiltrating again, but this time he's on a complete, you know, destroy the location, if you like. It's a terrorist bazaar. It's got stacks load of warheads, and then what do? They realise that actually when they want to nuke the base, oh, hang on a minute, there's nuclear missiles on those planes. We can't shoot them, and then they can't disrupt the missile that's en route as well. So it had that danger element. It was mission. It was totally legit, but it meant that there was an element of danger that Bond's got to get out there. It isn't just a terrorist threat. There is a monster coming that nothing can stop.
Yeah, it is. It's just relentless. The intro to Tomorrow Never Dies. It really is, and it feeds into the main plot because obviously you've got Gupta? I've said his name once already, but I might be wrong.
Yes,
and
Gupta.
the device. What was the device called? I can't remember the name of the device.
The coding machine. The coder.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The nuclear like coding machine, and I just. It's just so good because you've got two different scenes happening and both of them are tense. So you've got Bond there, but actually back at HQ, you know, them clashing with the Ministry of Defense, with the general, that's also incredibly tense as well. So, and then you cut to the missile that's firing. You know, there's three things going on that are equally sort of tense.
Don't see eye to eye with the Navy, you know.
No, they don't, do they?
And all that. Because even, what's his name? Is it Johnson? Sort of like a deputy, if you like. Even
Colin Salmon's character.
Colin Salmon, that's it. Sorry, yes. And he's even like, get out of it,
I can't remember
James.
what he's called, but
like he doesn't necessarily agree with him. However, you can tell that M's got utter faith that Bond knows what he's doing.
And then the line at the end was just like, please ask the general where he'd like his nuclear warheads delivered or whatever it is.
That was a walkover.
It's so good.
I actually just popped down to the shops today. I found some nukes. I'm going to drop them.
It's just amazing. And then Lorenzo agrees. Like, it is epic. It's just a perfect one pre-title sequence for me. I know that some people moan about Pierce Brosnan being a little bit like gun heavy and a bit action hero-y, but it works so well for me in this movie.
Oh, I completely agree with this, and I think the other element to this is the fact that it's an action heavy. I mean, like there's actual Bond, you know, like goes into the plane, he kicks the guy down, he shoots from the cab, and all that lot. I just think it's like GoldenEye as well. It can live rent free in my head for the rest of my days. I haven't got any issue with it at all.
Lorenzo said it's Robinson as well. Thanks, Lorenzo.
Oh, Robinson. Yes,
Charles
I said
Robinson.
Johnson. I always think when I think of them sort of like Judi Dench's deputies, I always think of what's his name?
Tanner. Yeah, that's who I think of as well. Yeah.
Nothing against Robinson, but he just disappears slightly from my peripheral for some reason.
Do you remember there was a time when they were like pitching Colin Salmon to take over from Pierce Brosnan as Bond?
There was, yeah.
I think Pierce Brosnan actually like pioneered it as well, or like championed it. I wouldn't have been against that. I think he was a cool actor.
Well, we've discussed in previous podcasts, he is renowned. This franchise is renowned for recycling actors. So hey, why not?
Exactly.
You know,
but if they had, it would have ended up fueling the codename theory, right? Because he's already in the Bond movie. Yeah,
that is a real clanger. I mean, you can recast M and all that lot, and maybe because
they are
a villain or two. But Bond is Bond, so kind of makes that a bit awkward, doesn't it? Really, you know?
Yeah, it does. But yeah,
next time, what I would offer as an option to give us an option now, Chris. So we're going to go classic era. We're going to go further back than we've done so far. Okay, and I want to bring up From Russia with Love. Okay, this is an opposite end of the spectrum to what we've just seen with the action blockbusters, right?
Yeah, it is. It is. Sorry, yeah, I was ready for you. It's numero uno, isn't it? Right? It's the first pre-title sequence, really. And it's full of action. People, I guess, didn't really know what to expect at the beginning of a Bond movie at that point because Dr. No didn't start in that way. But yeah, it's awesome. Red Grant doing a lot of action. We think Bond's there. Is Bond there? You know, it's great.
Here's the weird thing, right? So From Russia with Love, for me, right, in general, it was actually one of my sort of like, because I started at Pierce Brosnan in when I was 5. I'm 36 now, for God's sake. But it was sort of it was one of the last ones I actually encountered, and genuinely had no idea what I was stepping into. I mean, I was probably about 15 when I first watched it, so it's like 20 years ago or so now for me. But stepping into it, I had no idea what to expect with From Russia with Love. But that opening sequence, I'm surprised by what you would consider to be so little grips me so much. Do you know what I mean? Like in comparison, they're sort of like stalking Bond through the maze, and it's all that dark, shady shadowing, and the maze itself is it's just beautifully well constructed. And with Red Grant obviously stalking again, a bit like what you said with Gupta, kind of sets some level of tone to the film. There's relevance to it.
Yes, there is. That's all you need as well, isn't it? You want a drip of like, this might be important further in the film, and this might be important further in the film. Pay attention because these bits might be important, but like you don't need the plot spelling out in the first 5 or 6 minutes. You just want something to grip you, and this definitely does. And when you find out that it isn't Bond, wow,
the rip-off, come on, they did this before Mission Impossible. Okay, I maintain that that was not an exclusive to Mission Impossible. Bond did it first, and that's evident. That's evidence for us now, isn't it? It's documented.
It is. Bond invented masks, is what we're saying.
He did. He was always there, and he invented masks, and he invented lightsaber. No, he didn't actually invent lightsabers, did he? That's done. But look, the thing is, it's a very grounded beginning, and it's good for us to offer variety, because with no disrespect, I don't think Connery's pre-titles have this sort of like some of the most iconic bits. There's some that are not quite so strong. I mean, there's one that doesn't have anyone at all. So that does make it harder, doesn't it?
No, you're right. They are more muted, but they're trying to understand what a pre-title sequence is, and I don't think they really get that until. I don't feel like we get the modern day intro until The Spy Who Loved Me. I feel like before that they're finding their feet. But Connery does, like, if you want to move on to another Connery one while we're here. Thunderball feels like it starts to set a tone for like spectacle that you haven't seen in From Russia with Love, and Goldfinger with like I know it's not technically a stunt from well, no, it is, I guess, but like the jetpack scene in Thunderball is spectacle. It is large scale,
and it was real
action. Yeah, it is real. Yeah, that's what I mean. I started to say it wasn't, and I was like, no, it absolutely is. It is a stunt. But yeah, so it's great.
I mean, look, the great Connery fight, where he's obviously hunting another target, and we're seeing quite a bit of that now. Actually, we look at some of these opening sequences. And I think Connery's fight is just grade A him, and it's good because I think the last time you saw Connery's Bond was losing quite badly to Our Job, and now he is just absolutely bashing the crap out of this bloke using a poker and a wardrobe and whatever. It was just brilliantly well put together. Short, not a particularly long sequence.
No, the Connerys rarely are particularly long, are they?
I suspect they might have some level of budget, though, to be honest with you.
Maybe.
Maybe. If I may, I'm going to hijack you to another Connery moment, because we're there at the moment. Okay,
we'll have a little Connery off.
I want to take you further back to that one there, mate, in between where we just were, but not far as back as where you were, which means Goldfinger. Because legendary film, absolutely. And it's a simple opening. It's tense. It's infiltration. It's Bond, assigned to, take down I assume a cartel of some description where they're growing lots of sort of like drugs and stuff and all that sort of thing. It's been deemed they need to be destroyed. So simple nitro, go in there, blow it up. Bond does what he does, and then it has no connection to the main plot line once you finish the pre-title sequence. But it is phenomenal. We see his white tuxedo. That's something
quintessential Bond, isn't it?
We love the white tux. Out of whoever wears a white tux has probably got us in the putty of their hand, Chris.
I think so. Everybody must feel that way, right? Every Bond fan must adore that white tuxedo, right?
Indeed, yeah. And then you've got the wonderful fight, haven't you, with their henchmen?
Yeah, you have.
That's like, oh yeah, I'm tough. I've been hiding behind his wardrobe for about 24 hours. I mean, how long was he there?
Yeah, a long time.
Or was he the husband?
Ooh, maybe.
Maybe he wasn't a henchman. That's why he lost so badly. Is that a fan theory? Have I got one? Maybe.
I think maybe you have. I think maybe you've. They've been waiting for us to find this for 60 years. Yeah. And now someone's cracked the code of Goldfinger.
It was a plot thread that nobody bothered to tie up, did they? Give me the one from you, Chris. Then look in your head. What have you got? What's your?
I think we go on to one that I've mentioned now that we briefly touched upon, and that's The Spy Who Loved Me.
We have to.
I feel like The Spy Who Loved Me is that moment where pre-title sequences clicked for Bond movies, and it is still up there in everybody's lists of the very best pre-title sequences in and around that top 5. It's probably still the most impressive stunt in any Bond movie. The skiing off of the mountain, opening up the parachute, seeing that Union Jack. I still think it's the most iconic stunt in Bond history. And it's just a fantastic start.
I think this might be controversial, maybe, I don't know. I think it's number 1, Chris.
You think it's number 1? Yeah, I mean, go for it. Absolutely.
I mean, we're not ranking these officially, but I think that this could be the best title sequence in the Bond history.
Yeah, I've got no arguments with that.
It has some stiff competition, do not get me wrong, but what a good film opening to do. You are right, it blurred that line, didn't it, from being a spy thriller into a more action-based Bond. And that was something that was really great to see. But it's a short ski sequence, but I absolutely adore it. It's the skiing backwards, the flip, the dynamic camera angles where he's going up and down the cliff faces and everything.
Yeah. It's great.
Stroke of genius,
And I think people underestimate the action chops of Roger Moore. Some of his pre-title sequences and his films in general have some really excellent action sequences that Roger Moore sells really well. I really do think this is a great movie.
It's very well done. They clearly pushed the boundary, and I think in some ways they kind of took some lessons from the last one, which was on Her Majesty's Secret Service when it comes to skiing.
Yes.
Correct. They clearly, because they had a lot of production problems. They mentioned making the sort of ski sequences, and I think they took that and gone, right, we're going to do this really, really well. And the Russians are just after Bond. There's no reason why.
No, they're just after him.
Yeah, he's made an error, or maybe he is that girl's wife in the cabin. He's the husband of that girl in the cabin again. This is just a load of angry husbands chasing Bond.
But what they've done as well in that movie is they've made sure that he looks stylish, and a colour that is easily distinguishable between him and the bad guys. Whereas on the Majesty's Secret Service, they didn't do that quite as well with the blue, but like the yellow and the cool 70s collar on it. He's dripping in swag, isn't he? Right?
Yes, yeah. And I felt initially you think yellow, but then you go, actually, that is a pretty cool colour. I'm not like thinking that's like cheesy or anything like that. I actually think it's wonderful, and I also love that he's bothered to take the Q gadget, the ski stick with the gun in the end.
With the gun, it's great, isn't it? It's so smart,
And but this also bears a lot of plot to the movie. It's not just an isolated mission, which I think more or less is what we find with the pre-title sequences. They're not too disconnected. There's only a few that probably are disconnected, aren't they? Really?
Yeah, you're right. They all have some basis in the main plot without them being like, you know, the first part of the main story. With the exception of a few, like they have little bits, don't they? Little breadcrumbs that link to the plot. But yes, I Love Me is great.
The fact that this was, you know, Anya's husband or boyfriend, if you like, and we find that out later on is wonderful.
Yes, yeah, completely forgot about that. You're right. We only talked about it 2 weeks ago, but yeah, completely agree. It's so smart.
Yeah, it's wheedled in quite nicely. So, but yeah, I would like to, if I may, draw you to a little bit further on in the Bond timeline for this one, because one movie that we do have to go through, but I think our friend Lorenzo actually raised earlier on, is one of my favourite movies, The Living Daylights.
Yeah,
now,
me too.
This to me is definitely in my top 3 Bond movies, and the pre-title sequences, I'm struggling to get to put it lower than number 2. It's not 1 because that's A Spy Who Loved Me, but 2 is definitely The Living Daylights because it's an introduction to Bond again, a new actor. But the way it's done is wonderful. The fact that we don't see his face to the last second, and the fact that the other 00s that go in with him look similar to the previous actors.
Yeah, it's really smart. Really smart.
Wonderful idea how they did that. And the fact that the SAS are having to hunt them down, you're like, Double-O's are better than them, and you know, it's such a joy to watch this one.
And the fact that it happens on the island of Gibraltar as well, which is British territory, but yet feels exotic, and you know, somewhere that Brits haven't really travelled to, I guess. You know, or a vast majority of them. So it's a really interesting thing to see from that perspective. And the way that he is riding the tops of cars is so action heavy. It's really smart, really smart.
And he gets in the car, obviously, and they're fighting with a knife, and with his legs sticking out the roof. It's high stakes.
It is
totally It's unprecedented. It's not planned for. This is him dipping off a training exercise, and it's when the SAS bloke shoots him. He goes, "Oh, you're dead."
Yeah. And it shows that it's like, oh, actually, this is a training exercise gone wrong. This isn't what we think we're watching a training exercise, and we're not really sure when it becomes like a real incident. And that kind of tips the hat to the audience and says that this is not right. But I also love his sort of super casual delivery of James Bond, you know, and it's like, everyone you're waiting for it, and he's just sort of on the phone. He's like, Bond, James Bond, whatever, get lost. It's just great. I love it.
Flowing as a flow and all that.
Yeah, exactly.
And the fact that the girl bigs up the character, it's not just playboys and tennis bros. I need them.
Exactly. Yeah.
And all that. I don't know if that's sounded anywhere like that woman, but probably not. But it just makes, I don't know, that opening always makes me smile, and I have to just sometimes gasp in awe like how well it was done. And quintessential 80s Bond, wasn't it? That was.
It was, but I think you make a really good point when you say like it makes me smile. I feel like that's the job of the pre-title sequence, right? You know, like I feel like all of these pre-title sequences we're talking about are ones that made us smile the most.
Yeah, they do actually. I mean, like you said, it kind of makes or breaks your tone for the film. I think it makes you go, right, I'm going to settle down for this one because I'm warmed up. I'm in it for the ride. And if it's quite a weak one, which no disrespect, there are some weaker ones, you kind of just go in, okay, I know this film's better, but it's later on.
Yeah, I feel like an example of that, if we're actually talking about the thread of like an introduction to Bond, I think Live and Let Die is one of the weaker Bond pre-title sequences, but an excellent movie. You know, it doesn't suffer for the pre-title sequence, but it is quite weak, especially at being an introduction to a new Bond. So yeah, I think it can, you know, it can't hurt a movie if it's a poor pre-title sequence, but it can definitely make a bad movie better.
I completely agree. And do you know what was a really good opening, Chris, when I think about it now. So, because you kind of took one of the era, but I want to go back to something of my favourite one, I think, if ever. In fact, do you know what? Before we do, we need something a little bit more brooding music-wise for this one. Okay. There we go. It's probably a bit better. Right. It is Casino Royale.
Yeah. Well, if we're talking about introductions, mate.
No better. No better. Now, let's just talk about, first of all, but it's black and white shot. Okay. Talk to me about your symbolism with that, Chris. Why the black and white? What does that mean to you?
There's a couple of things with the black and white. The black and white feel, cause it's not just black and white. It's black and white, but it's also like it's quite harsh, almost like it's. Do you know what I mean? Like the whites are very white, and it's kind of it like someone's played around with the settings. I'm trying to think of the words, but like the saturation. It's really. It's not black and white like it's an old movie. It's black
rugged.
And white. Yeah, it's rugged, it's brutal, especially this, where it's like it's very
grain,
and very bright, almost like it's like the person who's shooting it is learning how to use a camera at the same time as he's learning how to. I don't know how to explain it, but
that's a really good analogy. I like that.
But
that
it is
no.
But it's two different types of black and white. The first one is brutal, like it's not really shot very well almost, but then you cut to the second kill, which is obviously considerably easier, as he says, and it feels like a calmer shot. The whole situation feels calmer and in control, and I love that juxtaposition between the two scenes that we see and how they sort of interchange.
Yeah, where he's sort of like, oh, if Emma thought I was bent, she would have sent a 00. Like, as in, I know you're not 00, so you can't kill me and all that shit.
Yes.
But then he realises that contact that he has just smashed to pieces in the room somewhere, one of his informants, is actually the first kill. That's quite a good take, actually. I love the idea. This is probably, to me, this is why Casino Royale sits so closely to the books, because although we don't see this in the book, the description we get of how Bond became a 00 and what kills he had to perform, this is quite close. It's not exactly, of course, but it's very, very close, And I do enjoy seeing the to me, I think Daniel Craig is the origin of Bond. I don't know how people might interpret his movies. I think they're sometimes a little bit split in a way, but certainly Casino Royale is where it starts for me. Forget the timeline. You could go on about it all day long. But I think that's where it starts. It's good to see him become a 00 and being rough around the edges. And it's quite imminent that the fight scene is so brutal and so far past what had come before it in the other films that you can almost tell that this is a different Bond. Definitely rookie, a killing machine that has no compassion or empathy. That's what I get from this beginning, really.
I think it's no. I mean, I agree with everything you've said. I think whatever you want to say about Daniel Craig's movies, or him as Bond, I feel like the quality of Casino Royale is inarguable. Like it will be in so many people's top 10 Bond movies because I feel like it hits the right notes in so many ways. And it all starts because of that intro, because of the way that they introduce Bond, and they introduce the gun barrel sequence in that moment as well.
We know where that comes from now. It's sort of echo back to the first kill. Another Lorenzo just put that as well. Stabbing in a darker tone to reboot Daniel Craig's Bond to get his 2 kills. Not really his cup of tea, but it's a very good intense opening. So it just shows that although it might not have been the sort of like flavour that fits everybody, the reality was the sequence in itself, connected or not, was a good sequence. And we have to highlight that, as I mentioned. It's one of my favourite openings, Casino Royale.
Me too. And I know that it's not technically part of the pre-titles, but I do consider it, like, because it's not a standard pre-title sequence, is it? But I like to think of the parkour segment as being an extension of the pre-titles, even though I know it isn't. So don't at me, people. But like that segment really shows the way that he thinks in a different way. When like he's chasing the parkour guy and this guy's climbing up walls and he's smashing through them. I love that difference and showing how he is a different Bond and how he works
does it
in
his
a
own
different
way
to achieve the same objectives. Yeah.
Yeah, it shows his resourcefulness, doesn't it? Really?
Yeah, it does. Thank you. Yeah.
I think while we're in Daniel Craig, can I chuck you one more before we go to another Bond, if that's all right?
Yeah, go for it.
And it's got to be. Come on, we've done Spectre, we've done Casino Royale. Which one am I going to go to? Which one do you reckon?
I mean, I would hope it's Skyfall.
Oh, it's definitely not Quantum of Solace. Put it that way.
It's definitely it's not Quantum of Solace. Thank God. It's not him driving in a tunnel. No.
It was Skyfall. The opening to this one was wonderfully shot. Sam Mendes at his absolute best. Bottom line. The sort of like mystery in the mission, the sort of synchronized gun barrel we saw there at the beginning, where it's actually just him walking out of the shadows, is wonderful. We see Bond in a more veteran style, chasing down the targets. The camera work on this is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. They learnt from the sort of slapdash, Bourne-esque tone of Quantum of Solace that was not bad, don't get me wrong, but this is so much better.
It does lean into sort of the green grass handy cam in Quantum of Solace, doesn't it? The Bourne films popularized. I don't think of Skyfall a lot when I think of intros, but it is a very good intro. I especially think of the moment that's on screen right now, which is him using this JCB to pull open the train, and then like that, the cuffs is quintessential Bond. So it's like the adjusting of the tie that he does in other films,
and leading to the train fight and all that.
The train fight and him getting shot is great. I really like it.
What I found as well is that it's sort of, we know he gets shot, obviously, and that's a really frightening revelation, if you like, for a Bond film. But what I really liked was the fact that you see Bond sort of like at top of his game, and then he falls off the bridge and he's down to his. You see him later in the movie; he's sort of a shadow of what he was. Do you know what I mean? Like he's learning to train again. He's sort of can't fire a gun in the same way and everything like that. But you see Bond at the absolute top of his game, like Eve. She is Eve at this point. It's not Moneypenny. Eve is in every way his junior. He is the more senior role in this movie, in this mission. Sorry, I just think it stacks up really, really highly.
I can't argue with you. Like I say, it's not one that I go back to, but I think like when you said about the fall, it's a physical and a metaphorical fall, isn't it, for Bond? Because he goes from his highest high to his lowest low as he hits the water. So
then rises from the ashes and all that. It's such a great idea. And I think how it bleeds into Adele's title sequence as well as Skyfall is done incredibly well.
It's a like we said about Spectre, Sam Mendes, the director. He's cinematically, his shots are beautiful, so we know what he's doing. What he brings to the table. They knew what they were getting when they got the director of like American Beauty and whatnot in to direct it. So
they clearly
it pays off on screen straight away.
They clearly extended the budget where they could, and that's why I think for many Skyfall is up people's top ranks in general. I mean, not going to please everybody, but
agreed. It's great. It's a great pre-title sequence.
It's in the golden tier, isn't it? Really for movies, I feel anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've probably got time for one more because we're within the hour, Chris. So, can I throw the? Well,
you've thrown the last four, so go ahead, mate.
Can I throw the Brosnan era back at you?
Yeah, go for it, mate.
Right. So I'm obviously not going to do Die Another Day because it wasn't great for me personally. But when it comes to Brosnan, The World Is Not Enough stacks up. Now, I'm going to let you do this one, Chris, because I've talked about it. I know that you really, really like this opening. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, I love all the Pierce Brosnan openings. I think we've said off camera that I think pound for pound, Brosnan's openings are easily the best in the franchise.
I would agree with that. Yeah,
I think whatever you think of Die Another Day, I think the pre-title sequence to Die Another Day is solid. It's not
quite
top
strong,
tier, but it's solid. But this is another top tier entry, and they knew what they were doing with the pre-title sequences in the Brosnan era. If you think the explosion at headquarters is bad enough, it's only the start. The first stunt of many. The Q-boat is just iconic right now, and that chase along the Thames and onto the ground as well. It's just fantastic to watch. It's so epic,
and it's probably one of the longer pre-title sequences.
Yeah, probably.
In general, I think it's something around 12 minutes long or something to that effect, because you get double bubble, because you get the sequence in the office where he jumps out the window and fights and all that, and then you get the boat sequence, which is, I mean, look, you can like it or hate it. That sequence is amazing. The whole it takes the boat off road, it dives, it jumps, it does. Yeah, it's such a. You could argue it's cheesy, okay, but it's a good cheese, and I would eat that flavour cheese for the rest of my life. It's such a action thrill. The word is not enough opening for me. Okay, not Brosnan's strongest movie, but it's a great opening.
No, it's not Brosnan's strongest movie, but it's all his movies are reasonably solid. I think it's such a great intro, and the fact that you probably already know this, but I'm sure that it was an unplanned intro as well for a lot of it. When they'd written the movie, wasn't the scene in Bilbao supposed to be the pre-title sequence? And then they thought, actually, this isn't action heavy enough, so they inserted this entire scene into the beginning of the movie just to sort of please the pre-title sequence gods. And
I didn't actually know that. No, you've taught me something there.
So yeah, the scene, I think it's Bilbao, isn't it? But the scene that happens after the pre-title sequence and after the titles was meant to be the pre-title sequence, and actually they were like, oh, this is a bit underwhelming. So this whole sequence was added.
Really done a lot for this. Yeah.
So imagine what the movie would have been without this scene. It doesn't bear to think, really.
It wouldn't stack up in quite the same way. I don't think so. the same charm.
No, definitely not. And it ends at the Millennium Dome as well. And at that time, in the early 2000s, that actually meant something. The Millennium Dome.
It was wonderful. It's now the O2, so clearly things went horribly wrong.
Actually, it's a great place to go as well. But yeah, it was almost a laughing stock at times. But the fact that it ended there was it dates it. Let's say that it dates.
I would just like to offer a slight apology to our Facebook guys. We're having a bit of a streaming issue to Facebook, by the way. I understand it's been a bit intermittent, so apologies. It does say it is a problem with Facebook in general, not us. So I do apologise.
We'll get a full episode up on the Facebook page, I'm sure, afterwards, won't we?
Yeah, we'll post it separately so you can watch us back and see how much you missed or not. But yeah, it's drawn a really good episode to a good place, I think, Chris. Yeah,
I think you're right. And there are other pre-title sequences that are great. Please get in the comments and let us know after the fact. We would love to hear some other pre-title sequences that we haven't brought up, but I think it just shows that there are so many great ones and so many different tastes, different types of pre-title sequences. So it's just been great exploring a few of them today, hasn't it?
It really has, and we could literally go back forever. We literally went through every single movie. We were geeking out completely. And do you know what? Maybe we will pick up the other section of this in another show and look at our other favourites. Yeah, absolutely. No, I've really enjoyed it, Chris. Really have.
But yeah, you're right. It's a good point to leave it there. I think we've tackled a good chunk of the best ones. But before we do go, is there anything that you would like to discuss or plug or talk about?
Yeah, plug it as always. As always, just keep subscribing to our YouTube channel and liking our Facebook page. We've seen some growth building, which is great for the new year. So we really appreciate that. And if you're watching this video now, hit the button. We would love to have you part of our community. Coming up very shortly, though, in the start of March, we will be jumping into part 3 of Everything or Nothing. I'm loving the playthrough of this game, and I would hope number 3 episode comes out and it's equally as successful. So if you can, we'll let you know when that's coming out. It'll be on our Facebook page and notifying you so you can join in and watch that stream coming up. But apart from that, thank you for joining us. How about you, Chris?
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, I echo everything you've said, and also to point to the Instagram page as well. So as well as Facebook and YouTube, we are also on Instagram. So please come and join us there. It's quite light-hearted. We just look at some of the fun photos and events that occur across Bond. Other than that, I think it's worth just pointing out that our next Bond movie review will be our next episode up in a fortnight, I think. Don't quote me on that. For Your Eyes Only it is as well. No, it's not Moonraker.
No, it's Moonraker. Yes.
The end of The Spy Loved Me made me think it was For Your Eyes Only, but it isn't For Your Eyes Only. It is Moonraker, obviously.
I am going to add, there is one little treat I'm going to throw in there. So when we do our Moonraker review, Chris, this is news to you, by the way.
Do it in space.
Yeah, we'll put a new background up and we sort of be floating around. After Moonraker, we've done our review live. Straight after, you will see 007 Legends Moonraker going straight up as well. So we'll sort of do a double back night of Moonraker. And that'll go up straight after.
I mean, one Moonraker is never enough, is it, Mike?
No. I mean, Drax had 10 Moonrakers. We've only got 2. But
that's true.
They will be back to back straight after the live stream.
I've got to say as well, like, for the people that are on the fence about whether to watch our review of it, we have been loving the Roger Moore Bond movies in general. Yeah. I mean, I'll speak for myself, but like, I'm really excited about re-exploring Moonraker.
I absolutely am as well. I don't feel it's a weak movie at all, and it's really when you watch it as part of a community and then you review it and you can come and talk to us about it on the comments. It really changes your perception of a movie that you think is quite weak, and it's not always the way.
I mean, I've done a ranking of all my Bond movies on my Letterboxd, and Moonraker's nowhere near the bottom. There are far worse Bond movies for me. But anyway, thank you so much for that, Mike. Yeah, Diamonds Are Forever is definitely down there. Quantum of Solace is down there. Unfortunately, quite a few Daniel Craig films are down there. But anyway, I digress. Thank you for joining us today. It's been great hearing from you in the chat as well. Please continue to do that. And all that leaves me to do is to say you've been watching the Bondcast.
The ultimate Bondcast.
Thanks a lot, guys.